Soccer under construction here on Morning Kickaround. There's some notes and updates from across the country to catch up on. Become a subscriber or a member as we get going. Leading this kind of news update, Rodeo SC announced this week a future USL League One team in Cecilia, Texas, which is just
Wait.
40. Celina, excuse me,
Cel-
Celina,
Wow.
Texas.
Mhm.
Got my C names screwy, but Celina, Texas, 28 miles south of Sherman, where Texoma FC was located, is going to be one of the many forthcoming new USL teams in Texas. We've been following the story of Texoma FC. They had 1 year pro. They self-relegated themselves, and it looks like their senior team now, their professional side, moving 28 miles or so south to Celina, Texas.
Okay, I'm being told, Rob, this is why we have viewers, because they can help us. Celina, Texas.
It's
Celina,
everything.
Texas.
Is everything the opposite pronunciation? You're talking, giving me crap about Spokane,
Yeah,
but
it's
now
not
we got
Spokane, and it's not Celina, it's Celina.
Celina, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, there's also, I believe, a Celina, Kansas, but spelled differently. Okay, anyway, here's what we know. As you said, this is the Texoma FC ownership deciding to relocate south for a better market. It didn't work in Texoma. This is obviously not a net plus one for USL League One. This is just a club relocating. It might be outside of. Okay, I guess that's not true. But I was going to say for city names and things like that, it might be the shortest relocation in the history of American sports, and they only went 28 miles. But then again, we had some teams like chain stadiums within one city. I don't know if that counts. But the vibe here is very interesting. I mean, they are leaning into this being a Texas ass soccer team. If it's from Texas for Texas with that font, we don't have a logo. We just have this font on top of what's supposed to be leather, I guess. You know, yeehaw, giddy up, cowboy, all the Texas stuff. I mean, I feel like these guys have to play in cowboy hats. Otherwise, they're not really hitting the vibe. Like, get out there, play in a cowboy hat, guys. That could be a thing. What do you?
Yeah, definitely. In the press release, they were saying that Celina has a quaint cowboy style downtown. So I guess it's all on theme here. But there's some interesting notes about kind of the ownership group and kind of some of their intentions, I guess, overtures.
Yeah, I'm going to bring in a little bit more information from this Celina situation and what this team is trying to do. It is a weird thing to relocate this locally, right? That's a
Messy.
thing. It is a weird thing the way that they are branding this. We do have Chris saying this name is so stupid to me, not having any sort of location in the name is horrible, right? Texoma was not a town name, but it was a place. Like there's a place in a general region called Texoma, right? Here is the webpage for Rodeo FC, which, by the way, Rob initially called Rodeo FC because clearly pronunciation is not soccer club, not FC, it's SC. Give them credit for that. They went with soccer club. This is their mission page. And I picked up on something pretty quickly, Rob. And I believe I'm being proven correct here. So it talks about, I don't want to read all of this, but it talks about a path to pro system for young athletes. And then, and actually it's right there. I had read the first point, which is servant leadership, which is very Christian coded. And then if you read that, actually, you read the intro, it says, guided by faith, family, and strong values, we believe soccer is more than a game. It's a platform for teaching life lessons, building character, and developing champions. So then we get to servant leadership, which, again, as I said, is super Christian coded. And then you get family-centric culture. And then you read a little bit about the owners here. Ben Watson, president and founder, a Celina and Sherman, Texas native with professional soccer experience. He's got some real estate background. He brings a unique blend of insight, entrepreneurial drive. All right. Ben sounds like a pretty standard lower division American soccer club owner, right?
Yeah.
Then we get to Jacob West, the CEO and the principal owner, experienced entrepreneur with a background in business operations, real estate, private equity, and business acquisitions. Pretty normal. pretty white-collar American soccer guy, a Denison native, which is not too far away, and lifelong rodeo enthusiast, hence the name. Jacob spent years writing and volunteering with the Glory Riders, a Christian-based organization dedicated to lifting up the name of Jesus throughout the rodeo community. So what we've got here, people, is a Christian soccer club. I'm not making any judgments. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I just think that's interesting as a thing to note. And, with the history of the sport in America, of course there's going to be some Christian coded soccer efforts. And in fact, I recalled pretty immediately that we had the Charlotte Eagles. I think, are they still operating? Do we get a thumbs up on that? Charlotte Eagles is a Christian-based soccer club out of North Carolina. And I don't know if it's quite the same because I don't think they've been as forward with it. And I don't know that MLS would be on board. FC Cincinnati, the logo for FC Cincinnati, which is that I should have brought it up here, but it's got the lion with the
sword and the
if
wings.
you've ever seen the FC Cincinnati badge, you know about the lion and the sword and the wings. The winged lion is called the Lion of St. Mark, and it is an evangelical symbol. And I recalled Pablo Maurer, then with the Athletic, I believe, 2018, when FC Cincinnati rebranded following their move from USL to MLS. He said, why is this on there? This is very Christian coded. Is this the way that you represent an entire city, many of whom are not Christian, whether because they don't follow they're American but don't follow that faith, or they're sort of born into the culture but don't follow it, or because they have a different faith altogether. I'm going to let people decide whether this is a thing that is potentially problematic. It doesn't have to be, obviously, but it does get into kind of weird places when you're talking about preaching and soccer together, if you are potentially making certain elements of your local fan base or your potential local fan base feel excluded.
Yeah, this Rodeo SC will initially play its home matches at Bobcat Stadium in 2027, which is a large high school stadium in the area. And definitely interesting that part of this story, we did a couple videos on what's going on with Texoma, and then there was the rumored Collins County. And we believe this all aligns because Celina is right on the edge of Denton County and Collin County. So all those kind of threads and rumors kind of finally all coming together here in the story for Rodeo SC. And side note, part of their ownership group is NFL kicker Nick Folk and brother of Ron Gronkowski, Glenn Gronkowski. So throwing a little bit of more randomness into the lower league soccer conundrum.
Wait, there's a Gronk involved? We have a Gronk?
We have a Gronk.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know we had a Gronk in American soccer. Is that
brother of Gronk?
Aren't there like
I guess he
6
was
Gronks?
involved in it the previous iteration, I guess, too.
Okay, we just didn't note that before. There was a Gronk involved and we didn't note the Gronk. So that's a failure on our part. Look, again, more American soccer clubs, good on its face, without judgment. Again, how they're going to do this and what flavor it takes. And if, I guess maybe the reason for the move to Celina is obviously it wasn't working in Sherman, but also if this new ownership element with Jacob West, this doesn't feel like this doesn't feel. Was he involved in Texoma? That's my guess is he wasn't, and he's part of the reason why this team is relocating. In addition to just it not working in Sherman.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Rodeo Soccer Club is the embodiment of true Texan heritage, meeting the beautiful game, says Watson.